Hey, what is up, Cinema Masters, and welcome to today's video. We're doing another lighting breakdown. This time we're doing a commercial that I shot a few years ago, and it's for another luxury hotel project that I did, and we're gonna jump into how we used natural light and augmented it with our studio lights in order to create the look of this film. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so like I said, this project is for a luxury ski lodge. As you can see here, we've got just a nice little story of a couple spending time at the lodge, doing all the things, very similar to the last one that we did. This is actually a partner hotel to the other hotel that we talked about in the last breakdown. And so we just got a few scenes here. What we did on this shoot was actually kind of unique, and very much the way that I like to do things typically is working a lot with natural and available light, and then using our studio lights or our film lights to kind of augment that light and make it look a little bit better. And on this project, we didn't have a huge budget. Now, this wasn't a passion project. I know we talked about one a week or two ago that was a passion project, like zero budget, literally doing everything by myself. This one was not a passion project. We did have a budget on this shoot. The client did pay for it. However, even with the budgets that we're typically working with, I still generally like to work with a small crew. So we don't have a big crew here. It's like me directing and DPing. I've got like a producer, a grip, and maybe one other assistant there on set. Plus the client usually provides us with like one or two people to just kind of help us out navigating around the hotel, that kind of thing. This is not by any means a big production. However, what I'm going to show you in this video is that even if you don't have a big budget, even if you're not doing a big production, even with a small crew, you can get away with a lot. You can actually do a lot by understanding how to use natural and available light, and then understanding how to add to it. So that's what we're going to be doing here. Is most of these scenes, a lot of them are just straight natural light, and I'll kind of point that out as we go. But then on a lot of them, what you have to do is you want to start by looking at what light is available and analyzing it and seeing what it's doing for you. And then you take your vision as an artist and you say, well, does this natural light achieve the vision that I have for this scene? If yes, then great. Go ahead and hit record. You're done. Like it's ready to go. However, that doesn't always happen, okay? So if it doesn't reach that vision, then what do I need to do with my lights to help it get to that level? So this requires you to have vision as an artist, to have a vision of what you want to achieve, what you want something to look like. And that comes from, you'll develop that over time from doing this a lot. So when you have that vision, you'll be able to look at what's going on in the scene and then augment things using your film lights in order to create the look that you have in your head. So let's kind of talk through how we've done that here. So this, wide shot is obviously natural light. We're just kind of shooting this at the right time of day. At blue hour, you'll notice there's a lot of stuff at blue hour just because it looks really pretty, especially with this mountain with the snow on it. I mean, it's just an amazing location. I love how the snow kind of reflects that blue color, really pretty. Moving on into this scene, again, straight natural light. We didn't do anything to light this. We're just kind of using that firelight and some of the lighting that's already in the scene. Again, outside, natural light. And then let's go into this scene that we kind of lit a little bit. So this scene, we've got our couple watching a movie in the theater. So they have a theater where they show like ski films and stuff. So they're in there watching the movie, and so we wanted to do a scene of them doing this. Now, this is something that I get asked about sometimes is, how do we create this effect with our beams of light coming out of the projector? Because I've done this a couple of times on these videos. And basically what we're doing here is we've got the projector on, pointing at the projector screen. So I'm kind of down. I'm actually standing down here close to the projector screen and then pointing up at it with the camera. And what we've got happening is we've got haze in the air. So you can see like all this cloudiness in here is this haze. So we've got a haze machine that is running, kind of filling up the room with haze. Not too much because we don't want the smoke alarms to go off, but just enough to get that effect. And you don't need a lot when you've got a bright source like this pointing at it. And then you want to be shooting at kind of a 45-degree angle to the light, which is what's gonna give you these beams and make it look like that, which just makes it look really cool. And then to create this effect, so like if I hit play here, if I just kind of drag through this, you'll see how it's the light's kind of moving. So if you just turn on a movie or something, it won't actually give you this effect, or it doesn't look as good because there's not enough movement usually in the scene to give you this kind of effect, or it's not as fluid as this. So what we did is we actually went to YouTube and found like an abstract blue video of like abstract colors just kind of like going like this. And so just moving around little blobs of color. And that's what gave us this effect. So as you can see, the colors just kind of moving through it, which just creates this really cool effect. Now, outside of that, on this scene, we do have a couple of practicals here. So this light and this light have practical bulbs in them so that we're getting the right color. The reason I only did those two lights is because for most of our shots of the talent and everything, those are the only two lights that were visible in the background. There is, if you'll notice here, that those lights are a different color than this one. This one's a little bit yellower, a little bit greener. And the reason, again, is because I didn't change that light out. So that's the normal light that was in the fixture already, and these are the ones that I added in. So we've talked about this before, how you want to swap out your practical bulbs with like good quality film bulbs, and this is the reason why. This is what you get with a regular bulb. See how it's kind of got that greenish tint to it, and this is what you get with a real like color accurate bulb. Okay, in this situation, like you can only see it here on the side, and like honestly, if I had noticed that, we could have color corrected it with color grading, but not really that big of a deal. Okay, these other lights back here, by the way, these the little wall lights here, those were already there and they looked fine, so we didn't do anything with those. Now moving on to our close-up of our subject here, they're watching the movie. We've got over here, actually, we did this in the last luxury hotel shoot that I did a breakdown of. There was a theater scene, right, where they were watching a movie. If you guys watched that one, this is the exact same setup. I liked that one so much that we just redid it again here. So this is an aperture 120D with a light dome on, and then in front of it we have an 8x8 silk diffusion. And that's just over there at the end of the row in the movie theater, just giving us a really nice big soft source, really bright. In fact, it might have been a 300D instead of a 120D, but either way, you know, just getting the right amount of light, which is giving us this really soft light on her. You're getting a little bit on her cheek over here, just really nice directional lighting, and then we've got kind of shadow on this side as well, which is looking really good. You can see it on the popcorn here. We've got light on this side, shadow on this side, giving us that three-dimensionality. So that's what's going on there. The other thing that you'll notice is that we've got this lens flare happening right here. Okay, it's kind of an intense lens flare, and this is motivating the projector light coming into the camera lens. Well, if you think about it, well, that light wasn't actually coming into the camera lens because, you know, if you think about it in a movie theater, we're down here and the projector's up here and the light is coming across like above us. So, you know, sometimes those things don't happen automatically. If you think about it logically, it doesn't actually make sense that that light would be there, but it adds to the scene, adds to the ambiance, gives us that really cool lens flare, and it makes sense. It's motivated and it feels natural. The way we did that is I actually had my phone. I literally put my phone and I took the phone flash and put it next to the lens and pointed it at the lens in order to get that effect. So that's where that lens flare is actually coming from. Kind of fun little tidbit there. Okay. All right, so moving on from there, this is just the same thing, but from the other side. And you can see that same light is hitting her shoulder right here. Okay, exact same thing. It's right over here. You can actually see this kind of glare, this blooming happening. That's coming from that light source. All right, moving on. We've got, again, mostly natural light. We've got big windows over here on the left of this scene, so there wasn't anything else that we had to do there except put a practical, of course, in the background, which gives us this nice little effect, this warm kind of feeling to the ski lodge, the hotel, which is, of course, the look that we're going for. Moving on from there, so we've got the massages, we've got this scene. I'm not going to go into this scene. There's not really a lot to talk about here. It's basically we've got a large soft source up above. So I want to say that we used quasars. So quasar tubes wrapped in diffusion, just giving us like an overhead light. There's not really a lot happening there. That was pretty much it. Okay. Okay, so this one's kind of interesting. This is a really good example of using natural light to your advantage and then augmenting it in order to get the look that you want. So obviously, where we've got this talent sitting in front of this massive window, we've got a lot of natural light coming into the scene. But if we were not to use our own lights on this scene, these guys would end up being totally silhouetted, and we'd have this like really bright window behind them, right? And so if you expose for the window, which we want to do because we want to have this texture back here, like this is part of the lodge's appeal, is all these trees and this mountain behind it that's just like amazing, these incredible views. And so we want to showcase that, and we don't want our window to be blown out, because if the whole scene's blown out, like that's just going to look bad. And so if you bring your exposure down so that your window is not blown out, well, then your talent is just going to be in shadow, right? And so this is a situation where we've got that nice soft light coming from the window, but we need to augment it. We need to increase the level of the room in order to be able to see our talent's faces really well and also get some detail in the background. So what we were doing here is we had the aperture 120D, either two of them or a 120D and a 300D just dimmed down, but basically the same thing with a light dome. As you guys know, I love these lights. One of them is up here with the light dome pointing at our male talent here, and then one of them is up above him with the light dome pointing at our female talent here. And that's how we're getting this light wrapping around their face. Okay, this light on this side is not coming from the window, of course, because it's on the other side of them, but you can really see it on her, where we've got the light just kind of wrapping around her face, again, right over to this cheek. So the light is breaking right here where we always talk about it, wanting it to break, and we're getting that really nice reverse keyed setup that looks really nice. So all it takes is two lights just on either side, helping to wrap that light and give us a little bit more light on their front side of their faces rather than just having a bright window in the back. Okay, so from there, again, a lot of natural light, just using windows and such. Of course, the skiing stuff is all during the day and natural light. And then the last scene that I wanted to go over real quickly is this one right here. Okay, so they're eating pizza. We've got the same thing happening here. In fact, this whole sequence where they're playing games in the arcade and then eating pizza and then hanging out outside, this was all shot back to back to back, okay? And so what we were doing is we had to move very, very quickly because it's a situation where, long story, but we had to get in and out really fast because there were people there, and we just didn't want to bug them. And so this whole thing is basically lit with that aperture 120D. So what we're doing here is, because we want to motivate that overhead light that makes a lot of sense in this situation, we've got our aperture 120D and our light dome right above our talent right there. And it's literally just pointing down. And because it's above them and maybe slightly behind them, it's wrapping around this side of their face just a little bit, but not too much, so that we're still getting light breaking kind of right here. And then we've still got nice shadow underneath their chins there, which is giving us a nice motivated, soft, flattering light. Now, if we move on to the game scene, this one actually we didn't light. So this is another situation where even if it's nighttime and you're shooting indoors and you don't have lights or you're moving really quick, you can a lot of times get away with it, right? So again, if you're looking through the lens and everything looks good with the available light, hit record, shoot. Like, it doesn't have to be too complicated, right? And so in this situation, we've got light coming onto her face, like a warmer light here. That's just the lights that were in the room. And then all this green light coming onto her is just from the arcade machine, lighting up her face. And, you know, it looks really pretty. We've got lots of bokeh in the background just because it's an arcade. There's all these lights and everything. And this right here, actually, that is the aperture 120D that we were using for the scene where they were eating pizza. So this is actually the table where they were eating pizza. That light is still set up from there, because I remember after we shot that scene, we just ran over here and got this shot really, really fast because I wanted something of them playing games. And, you know, we didn't have time to move things around. I turned on the camera, I looked in the lens, and I said, you know what, it looks good, let's just go, okay? So that's kind of how it goes sometimes. And then the last little scene here, again, same thing. We're using that, I believe it was the aperture light, I'm pretty sure, just, you know, over here, outside of frame. We've got our light here, light dome, and that's what's giving us this nice light on her, nice light on him. Again, it's side light, it's directional, it's reverse keyed, so we're still getting the nice shadow on this side, and then getting, you know, again, light on here and then shadow on this side, right? Giving us that three-dimensionality, that contrast between things. Another interesting thing that happened here is that these lights in the background, since we're using, you know, we're working with blue hour, we're working outside here, we have to have our white balance and our tint set to natural colors for that to work. These lights had a really bad green tint to them when we were shooting this, and all we did is just pull that out in post. So that's really easy to select windows like that and change the color of them and make them look a little bit more natural. And then the last shot here, of course, is of her hands, their hands, same thing. It's that light coming from over here, giving us this really nice soft light on them, moving into shadow. And that is the setup right there. I think with that one, we, yeah, one more here, same thing happening. And then we end out the entire video. So there you go. There's a breakdown of this commercial and how we lit. Once again, just to recap kind of the point of this video, if you don't have a lot of gear to work with, or a small crew or whatever, like, you can still accomplish really great things by paying attention to what your natural light is doing and your available light, and really focusing on that first, and then just bringing in whatever you need in order to augment that natural light. It allows you to keep your gear list low. It allows you to keep your crew small. It allows you to move a lot faster and still produce something that is beautiful and tells a story and does the job for the client. So definitely approach your videos that way, if you're working under those conditions. Now, if you are a filmmaker that wants to learn how to light like this, or how to shoot cinematic films like this that look truly cinematic, like not what people say cinematic means, but like actually cinematic, to have that movie-like, that Hollywood look to their films, I've got a free training that I want you to check out. It's down in the description below. It's totally free. It's an hour long. And what I do is I walk through my entire methodology for how I create films like this and how I build a portfolio of work that looks cinematic. Even if you don't have a lot of experience with this, even if you don't have an expensive camera or a big crew to work with, I'm all about minimalism and simplicity, and so I show you how to do it with that. I also go through my top 10 what I call cinema hacks. These are like really little tweaks that you can make to your videos that will have a huge impact and make them look so much more cinematic just by doing these things. So we walk through that. We walk through the cinema hacks. We walk through a little bit of business and how to use cinematic videos like this and how to get these kind of clients. If that's something that you're interested in learning, check out the link down below. Again, it's in the description. It's a free training, 100% free. All you have to do is put in your email address. You guys are gonna love it, and go ahead and check that out. If you have any other questions or comments or anything that you want to know, or anything else you want to see me break down, feel free to write a comment down below. I do take a look at those, and I love responding to you guys and interacting with you in the chat. Otherwise, we will see you on the next video next week. See you later.